How parents feel can also influence children's behaviour. If a parent is feeling depressed, exhausted, angry, anxious or upset, it's much more difficult to be calm, patient, consistent and relaxed about parenting.
Stress is part of everyday life. All of us have to deal with problems from time to time, but children need routine, and stress in the family can disrupt normal routines. If you have serious or long-standing problems with feelings, stress or relationships, do something about it and be prepared to seek professional advice.
All influences on children's behaviour don't happen in the home. Their relationship with friends, difficulties with learning or school in general can also cause problem behaviour. There's also what they read, see or hear in the media, and that includes television, movies and what they access on computers. It's up to us as parents to monitor what they're reading and watching.
Now that you've looked at possible causes of behaviour problems, it's time to think about goals for change in both your own and your child's behaviour.
Choose only one or two problems to work on at any one time. State goals positively so that they'll tell you what you want your child to do. For example, if your child runs away during shopping trips, set a goal for your child to walk with you in the shops. Make sure that your goals are reasonable and achievable. Before you start a new parenting plan, keep track of the behaviour you want to change.
One way to keep track involves keeping a diary, recording when the problem occurred, what happened just before the problem, in other words, what was the trigger to the problem, and what happened afterwards. How did you deal with the problem? Another way of keeping track is to record how often a behaviour occurs. This simply means counting the number of times a behaviour happens. You can record it on a chart or a tally sheet like this. You can put the information on a graph to keep track of your child's progress. Keep track like this for a week or so before you start a new parenting plan. And remember to continue to keep track once you've started the plan. This will help you notice any improvements and will keep you motivated to persist with the strategy.
As well as how to keep track of your child's behaviour, the section we've just seen looked at some of the causes of child behaviour problems. We saw that there are many influences on children's behaviour, including their genetic makeup, the family environment and community influences. In Part 3, we look at how to develop positive relationships with our children and strategies we can use to encourage behaviour we like. There are also useful tips on how to help our children learn new skills and behaviours.
Now that we've had a chance to look at things that can cause children's behaviour difficulties, let's now turn to what we can do to prevent problems. Perhaps the most important thing that we should look at first of all is how to promote a positive relationship with your child.
It takes time to develop a caring relationship with your child. It may surprise some parents, but spending frequent, small amounts of time together can be more beneficial than less frequent, longer periods of time. The basic idea is to spend anything from 30 seconds to a couple of minutes of quality time with your child. Do this as often as you can.
Time that's special to your child is often when they approach you to show you something, to ask you a question, or to involve you in their activity. When this happens and you're not occupied with something important, stop what you're doing and make yourself available. If you're busy, try to plan spending some time with your child as soon as you can. Talking to your child is also really important. It helps them develop their language, it teaches them conversational skills and social skills, and enhances their self-esteem.
Another way of showing children that you're interested and you care is to give them plenty of physical affection, tickling, hugging, kissing and touching. This will help your child feel loved, secure and comfortable about giving and receiving affection with people they're close to and care about.
One important way of encouraging desirable behaviour is to praise children. This works best when you take notice of times when your child is doing the things that you would like to see more often.
Oh, Bridget, you've set the table for me and I didn't even have to ask you. Thank you, darling. Good job.
Praise involves commenting on or describing what you actually see.
Ha ha, tomorrow I get to go to a birthday party and you don't.
Renil, you're really good for ignoring Nahil's teasing. Thank you for being so grown up.
Praise works best when you're clear and specific. Describe exactly what your child has done that you like. Be enthusiastic and sincere and mean what you say.
There are many ways of giving attention. A smile, a wink, a thumbs up sign, even just watching. These are all forms of attention children really enjoy and can encourage desirable behaviour.
You can encourage independent play by providing your child with plenty of interesting and engaging activities to keep them busy at home and when you're out. Busy children are much less likely to be bored and disruptive. The skills, behaviours and values you wish to encourage in your child is the choice of every individual parent. However, it may be helpful to have in mind some of the skills that encourage children to be independent and to get along with others. These skills fall into 4 main categories. Communication, how to share ideas, ask for help and cooperate with others. How to manage and express feelings without hurting others. How to be independent by keeping busy without always needing attention and learning to do things for themselves. And how to solve problems for themselves by showing an interest, being curious and asking questions about everyday things.
Children can learn a lot through watching, so show your child how to do things and set a good example.
Would you like to put it on yourself today?
Yes.
All right, you better watch how I do it. You look.
If you want to teach your child a new skill or behaviour, let them watch and let them imitate what you do. Provide praise and encouragement for their efforts and achievements.
The sun won't burn you today, will it?
No, it sure was.
There, good on you, covering it all up.
Another way of helping our children learn is what we call incidental teaching. When your child approaches you to ask a question or they want to show you something, stop what you're doing and pay attention.
Mum, can you help me find where this goes?
Where that one goes. Have you tried?
Yeah, I've tried everywhere.
Have you looked at the box?
Instead of just giving the answer, try to help your child figure it out for themselves by giving a hint that helps them solve the problem.
Have you looked at the box?
Oh, no.
Pick up the box and have a look at the picture.
It's got a brown
We'll see how he's got a brown shirt. So where's the boy with the brown shirt go? Right, we'll try putting him in there. What do you think?
Yeah.
There we go.
And after they've solved the problem, praise your child, perhaps by repeating back what they've just done.
Oh, well done, Olivia. Good girl. You figured that out all by yourself.
Oh, thanks, Mum.
Good work. Excellent.
This should be fun and enjoyable. If your child can't come up with the answer, give it to them. Don't push the issue. There's always plenty of opportunities for incidental teaching.
Ask, say, do is a useful way to help your child learn to do things for themselves, such as dressing, brushing teeth, getting ready to go out, and getting ready for bed. When a task is long and difficult, break it down into steps and teach these steps one at a time.
The first part of Ask, Say, Do is the ask part. This simply involves asking your child what the first step is.
Linda, what's the first thing we do when we brush your teeth?
I don't know.
The second part is the say part. If your child can't tell you the answer, simply tell them what it is they have to do.
Well, how about we put some toothpaste on the brush?
The third part is the do part. If your child can't do something on their own, help them to do it.
You're having a bit of trouble.
Yes.
All right, but what I usually do is I put my fingers right up the top here.
Guide them with your hand through the motions of what it is they have to do and gradually reduce your support as the child starts to master the skill.
Back part's there. Do you want to try it yourself?
Ask, say, do works best when you praise and encourage your child as they master each of the steps. A good way to do that is to describe what they've just accomplished. Repeat the process for each step, and as your child becomes more accomplished, you can praise less often. Another useful way of encouraging children to learn new skills and behaviours is what we call a behaviour chart. A behaviour chart involves having some stamps, stars, stickers or smiley faces as a way of giving your child encouragement for their efforts.
The chart is recognition of the effort they've put in, and it helps your child feel good about what they've done. Often the chart is reward enough, but a behaviour chart can also be backed up. Children can learn that by filling their chart, they can earn a bigger backup reward. The ideal sorts of rewards for a behaviour chart are things like family activities, something the child enjoys doing, such as a bike ride, baking a cake with mum, having dad read an extra story, something fun, something they like to do.
Let's practice that. You ask Mummy if you can go to the park in your nice voice.
Mummy, can we please go to the park?
Sure. That's a great voice, Sienna. Well done. You can have a smiley face because you used your pleasant voice.
Once a child has learned the new skill or behaviour, the chart can be phased out. Here are a few guidelines to make them work well. Describe the behaviour that will earn a star. Where possible, state it positively. For example, staying in bed rather than not getting out of bed. Explain exactly when and how often your child will receive a star. Decide on a goal that's achievable and a reward your child can earn after earning a set number of stars. Aim for an easy first goal so that the child has a number of successes. Then you can make it harder to achieve. Decide on and explain the consequences for breaking a rule. Praise your child each time they earn a star and give the reward if they reach their goal. If your child doesn't reach the goal, don't criticise them or take away stars they've already earned. When the child is reaching their goal regularly, start to phase out rewards by making them harder to achieve. For example, extend how long your child needs to behave well before they can earn a reward. Gradually phase out the chart and reward them every now and then. Continue to praise your child for behaving well.
With Harry McCleary from Donaldson's Dairy.
The strategies we've just seen are spending quality time with your child, talking to your child, showing affection, praising your child, paying attention to your child, setting a good example, incidental teaching, the ask, say, do method of teaching new skills, and how to use a behaviour chart. You may like to choose one or two strategies to try out at home. Remember to keep track of how it goes. In the next section, we look at a variety of strategies for managing misbehaviour.
There's more to positive parenting than just encouraging desirable behaviour. All children need to learn how to cope with frustration and to accept limits. Children learn self-control better when their parents act immediately, consistently and decisively when difficult behaviour occurs.
All children need to learn what's expected of them and how to behave. Having a few, maybe 4 or 5 basic house rules can be helpful. When your child is old enough, involve them in helping to set the family rules.
On my own yard.
That's right. That's very good.
Rules work best when they're fair, easy to understand, and you're able to back them up consistently. Rules should tell children what to do rather than what not to do. For example, instead of saying, "Don't run around the house," say, "Walk in the house." Directed discussion is a useful strategy to help children learn to follow basic house rules. We use it when they break the rules. It involves telling your child the problem, explaining why it's a problem, getting your child to suggest what they should have done instead, and then getting them to practice what they should do.
Reneel, stop running. You might break something. What is our rule about moving through the house?
Well, we walk in the house.
That's right, we walk through the house. Now go back to the door and show me.
Sure, Mum.
Thank you for showing me how you walk through the house.
Planned ignoring involves deliberately paying no attention to your child when a minor problem behaviour occurs. It's particularly useful in situations where you suspect your child is misbehaving to try to get an audience, to get a reaction. Things such as using a silly voice, using a whining voice, or pulling faces. There are many minor annoying behaviours that are all best dealt with by simply ignoring them. While you ignore the problem behaviour, remember to pay attention to the good behaviour.
When you ignore a behaviour, make sure you don't talk to or look at your child. Be prepared to withhold your attention and not to react for as long as the problem lasts. When the problem stops and your child behaves well, praise them and give them attention.
Sometimes when you ignore the behaviour may get worse before it gets better. But what you need to remember in this situation is to simply persist. Eventually your child will learn that this behaviour no longer gets a reaction. The way we give instructions can also influence whether children cooperate or not. And there are several important points to remember that will help you give instructions that will be effective.
Ellie, stop doing gymnastics in the house. If you would like to do gymnastics, you need to go downstairs.
Where possible, wait for the right moment, perhaps when your child has finished an activity. This will increase cooperation. It's important to give children instructions that are clear and direct, and when you give an instruction, make sure you're prepared to back it up.
In the house.
When you want your child to do something, follow these steps. Stop what you're doing and move to within an arm's length of your child. Bend down to their eye level and use their name. Be specific and tell your child exactly what you want them to do. Wait and give them time to cooperate. Around 5 seconds is enough. Stay close and watch your child. If they cooperate, praise them for doing what you asked. If your child doesn't follow a rule or instruction, choose a consequence that fits the problem.
Ellie, please move away from the TV. You're sitting too close.
A logical consequence is best used for mild problems that don't happen too often.
Ellie, you haven't done as I've asked, so the TV is going to go off for 5 minutes.
Be prepared to take away the activity or toy that's at the centre of the problem and explain why you're doing it.
If you're using a logical consequence, act as soon as the problem occurs.
Boys, you're not taking turns like I asked you to, so the computer's going off for 5 minutes.
Don't wait for the problem to happen 4 or 5 times before you do anything about it.
Come on, out you go.
Keep to the agreement, and when the time period is up, return the activity so your child has a chance to do the right thing in the same situation.
Logical consequences work best when they're brief. 5 to 30 minutes is enough for the first time a problem occurs. Take the activity away for a longer time if the problem happens again on the same day.
Quiet time is an effective way of helping children learn acceptable behaviour.
James, I asked you to stop banging those blocks while I was on the phone. You kept banging the blocks. You need to go to quiet time now. Come on, please.
Quiet time really is an alternative for many parents to yelling, shouting or smacking their children when they're not cooperating.
Now, you're going to be staying in quiet time for 3 minutes.
What's involved is that you either remove the child to the edge of the activity as a consequence for not cooperating, or you ask them to sit in a particular spot in the same room where the problem occurred. You can ask older children to sit on the floor or on a chair for a couple of minutes. A toddler's cot or playpen can be used as the quiet place from the age of about 18 months onwards.
When you see problem behaviour, act quickly. Get close, gain your child's attention, and tell them exactly what to do. If the problem behaviour stops, praise your child for doing as you asked. If it continues, tell your child what they've done wrong and that the consequence is quiet time. When you take your child to quiet time, ignore protests, don't argue or nag, and don't debate the point. Tell